Imagine if that city or that town was suddenly invaded by thousands of federal agents that do not share the values that you hold dear. Imagine if your daily routines were disrupted. And what we are seeing time and time again is unconstitutional conduct by ICE. ICE is not new. What is new is the way that the Trump administration is presently conducting themselves.
Mayor Jacob Frey's wife. So like I said, she served as a lobbyist and a government liaison for Hilden Advocacy and Law.
The firm provided legal representation and lobbying services to Feed Our Future, the NGO that orchestrated the massive $250 million federal child nutrition fraud scandal, the largest fraud case in U.S. history and part of the $9 billion welfare fraud schemes.
Mayor Jacob Frey. What is the connection between him, his wife, and Somali fraud? We're going to talk about it in this video. You know, Minneapolis can't catch its breath right now. Every single day is something new. There's raids, lawsuits, one shooting, then there's another shooting that happened, was it yesterday?
At 6:51 p.m., Minneapolis police received a 911 call reporting a shooting on the 600 block of 24 Avenue North. Preliminary information indicates that there was a struggle with a federal agent in front of the resident. During the struggle, the federal agent discharged his weapon, striking one adult male. There's a crowd gathered in the area, and we have called for mutual aid from the Minnesota State Patrol and Hennepin County Sheriff. The crowd is engaging in unlawful acts. They have thrown fireworks at police officers, and at multiple times, gas has been deployed. This is already a very tense situation, and we do not need this to escalate any further.
And now there's a national talk about something Americans haven't heard mentioned in decades. The Insurrection Act.
So here is what he posted this morning on Truth Social saying, quote, if the current politicians, politicians in Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act. He goes on to say that will, quote, quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state.
It is crazy out there, extremely crazy. I'm sure that you've probably seen all of the videos going back and forth between ICE and the protesters. Some of these protesters look like they're professionals. Some people are just literally crashing out. And the right in the middle of all this, Mayor Jacob Frey, he's everywhere. He's on national TV. He's pointing fingers at Trump. He's blaming the federal government. He is demanding ICE to get out of Minnesota.
You are aware that 18 U.S. Code 111 makes it a federal crime to impede, interfere, or even assault officers. And we see the protesters crossing a line of protesting, throwing rocks, hitting cars, and interfering in the federal government's view of their operation of carrying out federal immigration law enforcement.
We have had perhaps tens of thousands of people peacefully protesting in the streets. And at the same time, yeah, they are going to stand up for their neighbors. And what we are seeing time and time again is unconstitutional conduct by ICE. ICE is not new. What is new is the way that the Trump administration is presently conducting themselves.
But here's the thing. This is the same state that just lived through one of the largest fraud cases in American history. And we haven't got to the extent of the damage. Like what the U.S. attorney said, we're just touching the tip of this iceberg. So today we're not going to do any conspiracy theories. We're not even going to say anyone is committing crimes. We just want to ask a very simple question, which I know a lot of people down there do not like. I saw the latest video of Nick Shirley. People do not like people who ask questions.
This is fraud. We're talking about fraud.
What you're
defending fraud.
People who hate Islam use your material. Say to us, we don't want you here. Okay. Change the Constitution.
You are creating misinformation. This is not fair. It's not fair for the American people to be doing that. It's not fair.
Get out. Get out. No, you don't ask me that question. Get out.
You have the opportunity to answer the question.
No. You can't ask me nothing. Get out.
But here's my question. Why does fraud keep circling in Minnesota politics? And why does it keep getting so close to City Hall? Let's get into it. So what's going on right now? You got the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison. They're suing the Trump administration, trying to block what they describe as a massive ICE surge in the Twin Cities. Trump throwing out the policy of the Insurrection Act. So obviously people are losing their minds. And this situation is distracting all of us from fraud. The situation is happening where there's millions or potentially billions of dollars being taken away from the taxpayers due to what's going on in between Somalia and here. So yes, we have multiple shootings, we have chaos, but again, let's rewind it and talk about the fraud that Minnesota can't escape. Because before ICE, before lawsuits, before the talk of the Insurrection Act, Minnesota had another headline, Feeding Our Future. Federal prosecutors described it as a massive fraud scheme involving child nutrition funds during COVID. The number attached to it, about $250 million.
$250 million of your tax dollars was supposed to help feed hungry children.
Instead, federal prosecutors say at least 47 Minnesotans pocketed that cash to pay for luxury rides, high-end jewelry, and coastal homes.
Prosecutors say Bach and dozens of co-conspirators defrauded the federal government out of $250 million during the pandemic.
It quickly became the ultimate get-rich-quick scheme.
Bach and her co-defendants are accused of lying about serving meals to thousands of children a day.
These children were simply invented.
So how did the defendants allegedly make money? The government reimbursed them for the meals the defendants claimed they served.
The way his case is laid out in court documents makes it among the easiest to follow how federal investigators believe the scheme worked. The documents say Knorr registered his media company with the state in November 2020, and the next month applied to be a federal child nutrition program meal site under the sponsorship of Feeding Our Future. According to court documents, Feeding Our Future Executive Director Amy Bach sent this email in February 2021 asking her staff to get Hogmal Media started as a food site. The next day, an unnamed Feeding Our Future worker emailed Bach, writing, "We took a lot of organizations that don't work with children. Hogmal is a TV show program. They have no interest with children. These are things we need to clean up." Bach allegedly responded, "Yes, I agree," but then Feeding Our Future wrote the media company checks totaling $494,000.
This story was probably the start of a lot of people going down there to investigate what's going on. The Department of Justice charged dozens of people. Years later, a federal jury convicted some of these people. And this is where the City Hall connections start. This case didn't stay locked in inside a nonprofit. Federal indictments did reach people connected to City Hall. One was an aide, a senior policy aide for Mayor Frey, Abdi Salah. Another one was Shamarki Issa, who Frey appointed to a chair of the Minneapolis Public Housing Authority. And there's another one, Albie Kadir Mahmoud, has ties to a mayor community safety work group. So there's people connected to Jacob Frey that was in this situation. So this fraud wasn't very far away. It was close enough that the people in his orbit was charged and prosecuted. So when people hear that, you have to start asking questions. That's why it brings up Jacob Frey's wife, Sarah Clark. She has been involved in politics for years, apparently. So that's not controversial, that's public. Public bios show that she worked as a lobbyist for the Hilden Advocacy and Law. That matters because Hilden isn't some random firm. Hilden's name shows up in reports tied to Feeding Our Future case. Court coverage and local reporting show that Feeding Our Future founder appeared in federal court. Right here, Mayor Jacob Frey's deep ties to the $250 million Feeding Our Future fraud scandal. Feeding Our Future was a Minnesota nonprofit founded in 2016 by Amy Bach right here. This is the person that is the one that was running this whole money laundering scheme. These are the defendants detained for the fraud that they practice. All of them are Somali. See right here, Jacob Frey's wife, Sarah Clark. She served as a lobbyist and a government liaison for Hilden Advocacy and Law. The firm, led by the founder, provided legal representation and lobbying service to Feeding Our Future, appearing in court alongside the founder, Bach, and leading a nonprofit navigate regulatory hurdles. Hilden's tagline, your friend at the Capitol. And friends they were. The firm was listed in Feeding Our Future's annual reports in the Minnesota Attorney General as far back as 2019. Hilden's reach extends further. The firm also lobbied for the Somali Museum in Minnesota, founded by Somali in 2011. Ali pleaded guilty to fraud in a separate case, yet the museum received $4.5 million in state funding just months later. This isn't isolated. Minnesota's Somali community has been an epicenter of multiple fraud schemes, including a $104 million housing scam, $399 million in autism fraud, and billions in remittances to Somalia. Hilden's involvement in these orbits raised red flags about how lobbying dollars influence public funds. And many of these people did donate to Jacob Frey campaign, as you can see right here. There's so much back alley deals happening here. It's hard for them to even say this is not happening. Something is going on here. Hey, listen, I'm not even throwing any accusations. No claim that Jacob Frey's wife committed fraud. I don't know, but It explains why people keep bringing this up. Because politics, lobbying, nonprofits, and government money all live in the same ecosystem. And Minnesota has already shown that the ecosystem is abused and can be abused. And here's some fair questions that I would love to be answered. What exactly did Sarah Clark do at Hilden? Was she involved with any of the Feeding Our Future related clients? Public reporting doesn't say. And then when did she leave the firm and why? Social media claims that the timing lines up when these investigations were heating up. That's not proven, but people start to notice some timing. And the last question, when Mayor Frey says that he wants the federal government out while Trump floats the Insurrection Act, is this purely illogical or is this about scrutiny? He doesn't want the feds on his back, maybe. I mean, that's not an accusation. This is just a political question. The state has a lawsuit arguing that the federal government is using fraud as a justification for the ICE search, but Minnesota already had a real documented fraud scandal on the books already. So when these politicians say this isn't about fraud, people will respond with, really? What was the whole point of this? I mean, we just watched a $250 million disappear. Also, there's other crimes that are being alleged right now and being prosecuted. So right now, we're just asking questions and putting some connections together. I'm not saying that Mayor Frey or his wife ran a fraud scheme. What we're saying is this: Minnesota has a massive fraud problem. People connected to City Hall were charged. The mayor's wife worked at a firm that appears in reporting tied to the case. Now the city is dealing with multiple ICE-involved shootings, chaos galore, lawsuits against the federal government, and talk of the Insurrection Act. And the same mayor is on TV saying that the federal government needs to get the hell out. So this question isn't crazy. If this is all about fraud, safety, and control, why does Minnesota keep looking like the place where everything collides at once? Where you go where you want to commit some fraud? What is really going on here? That's the question I have. But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Do you think there's an issue? Do you think there'd be more questions need to be answered? Multiple people connected to City Hall went down for this situation. And his wife was working for the law group that represented them, that represented one of these people. I mean, you can't make this up. This is like a TV show. So of course they don't want the feds to be around. In my opinion, why would you want them to be around? Too much taxpayer money stolen. Someone has to answer for this. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video.